brief statement, and then Assembly Member Irene Bustamante Adams will be making a statement, and then Lise Lott Lublin will be making a brief statement, and also her husband Ben will be making a statement. Today we were excited and honored to have been invited to join Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval as he signed AB212 into law. This new law extends the statute of limitations for criminal prosecutions of rape in Nevada. My client, Lise Lott Lublin, and her husband, Benjamin, asked Nevada Assembly Member Irene Bustamante Adams to introduce this bill, AB 212, after they became aware that the statute of limitations in Nevada for criminal prosecution of rapists was only 4 years and prevented many rape victims from ever having their case criminally prosecuted. Many women whom I represent allege that Bill Cosby had drugged and sexually assaulted them in Nevada, but it was too late for them to have any recourse or remedy in the criminal justice system. For that reason, Lise and Ben asked Assemblymember Bustamante Adams to introduce a bill which would eliminate the statute of limitations for criminal prosecution of rape in Nevada. The Assembly member did introduce AB 212 in Nevada, and Lise, her husband, and I came here to testify in support of it. The bill was later amended to extend the statute of limitations from 4 years to 20 years. That amended bill was signed into law today. While this bill will not help provide access to the courts for the alleged victims of Bill Cosby, it is an important step forward for rape victims. While I encourage rape victims to report their assault to law enforcement as soon as possible after the assault, many victims are reluctant to do so. This new law sends a message to sexual predators that victims may have access to the criminal justice system for the next 20 years after the assault. So predators should understand that they will no longer be protected from criminal prosecution for only a short period of time. And they should understand instead that they are at risk of being criminally prosecuted for their crimes many years later, rather than their enjoying the legal protection that they enjoyed in the past. AB 212 would never have been passed without the persistence and courage of my client Lise Lott Lublin and her husband, Benjamin. We also wish to thank Nevada Assembly Member Irene Bustamante Adams. Without her support and her willingness to author and shepherd through AB 212, we would not have this new bill, which was signed into law today, and which will in the future help to protect rape victims rather than sexual predators. Since the Bill Cosby scandal emerged a little more than 6 months ago, this is the first bill in the nation to become law which extends the statute of limitations for criminal prosecution of rape. We hope that it will not be the last, and that rape victims everywhere will become survivors and then fighters for change in their own state, so that statutes of limitations for rape are lengthened or eliminated in both criminal and civil justice systems, assuring victims that they will be able to have their day in court, and that rapists will no longer be able to rape with legal impunity. And we were very happy to be able to be with the governor a few minutes ago. He did sign the bill yesterday, and he signed it for us today. And we are very, very appreciative of his support for rape victims and for AB 212, and we also thank the legislature. And now I'd like to present Assembly Member Irene Bustamante Adams.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Today I stand before you along with several other individuals that have collectively worked together to become a voice for those that did not have one. These folks did not have justice when faced with the terror of sexual assault. If the crime had not been reported within the short 4-year window, then there was no remedy to bring their abuser to be held accountable. As AB 212 lists the statute of limitations for reporting the crime from 4 years to 20 years, it is a giant step forward for these victims. I'm eternally grateful for my constituents, Ben and Lise Lublin, that brought this injustice to light. They had the courage to share their personal story, to be able to be vulnerable so that the whole world knew of their situation, and that their courage would eliminate the barriers that so many have encountered. They also exercised the right to get involved in the legislative process, which for some could be so intimidating, but they took the courage to contact me as their representative and be able to work together to help victims. For me, it was an opening eye experience in this journey when so many people came forward, especially people in this building came forward to tell me about their personal stories. So they came to share their personal stories, and we received lots of emails from Nevadans from all over the state on how they were victims of this crime, and they were grateful for my constituents coming forward and helping to be the voice. So I'd like to thank the Assembly Democratic leader, Marilyn Kirkpatrick, my colleagues from both sides of the aisle, the governor, Ms. Allred, and especially my two constituents for bringing forth this piece of legislation. Thank you. Thank you. My husband and I started with an idea. This idea flourished into something that I could have never imagined. Victims of sexual assault and rape will be afforded the much-needed time to report a crime. Countless victims will be able to have their voice heard. My husband and I realized that the 4-year statute of limitations did exactly that. It would limit the victim's right to report and seek possible prosecution. Extending the statute of limitations to 20 years feels like a dream come true. The bill represents the fortitude of human will. With our will to persevere and with the empowerment from the community and our state leaders, we have made a positive change. I thank each and every supporter and member of the Nevada State Legislature and all of my family and friends who kept me going and inspired me to continue fighting. To all my girls, my Cosby survivors, this is a win for all of us. We are making a difference. Thank you.
I want to thank Assemblywoman Irene Bustamante Adams, Christy Oriole from the Nevada Network Against Domestic Violence, Daniel Dretzer, the director of the Rape Crisis Center of Las Vegas, and the Assemblymen, women, and senators who voted unanimously for our bill, AB212. Also, all the government agencies that testified in support of our bill, including but not limited to Clark County Police Department, Nye County Police Department, Washoe County Sheriff's Department, the Nevada District Attorneys Association, Nevada Sheriffs and Chiefs Association, Attorney General's Office, the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, the National Association of Social Workers, and Gloria Allred, whose guidance has been priceless. In 1998, my wife believes that she was drugged and assaulted. We chose not to allow this horrible incident to dictate her future. We realized that the 4-year statute of limitations was only hindering victims from seeking justice. By extending the statute of limitations to 20 years, we have given victims the much-needed extra time to report his or her assault. I urge each and every victim of sexual assault and rape to look into the statute of limitations for their state. Work with your local assemblyman or woman to extend or abolish these laws. With a single idea, you can make a change that will help others, a change that will help strengthen your community, a change that will allow victims' voices be heard. To my son Simon and my daughter Sabrina, Mommy and Daddy are done, and we're coming home. Thank you.
We'll be happy to take any questions. Before we do, would you like to introduce yourselves? Sure? Okay, all right. So if there are any questions, we'd be happy to try to respond to them.
We're just going to do one-on-ones if we could. I think we're just going to do one-on-ones if we could.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.